5 years ago. Yeah.
Call the meeting to order. Would all those who can stand, please do so, and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
All board members are present this evening.
That's great. Approval of the agenda. I'd like to, the clerk has last edition of this past, last edition she'd like to see put on. It's about the voting machines. We have to submit a resolution to get a grant to pay for these voting machines. And so we came in today and we'll get it on, hopefully get it on the agenda here. So
Just talk loud there about it.
oh, shit. Thank you. All right, so I'd like to add resolution number 17-10, authorization to submit a grant application to purchase a new voting system to new business, and we'll list it as item L.
Do you need a support?
Oh, yes.
Support.
Can you move to supported?
All right, Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Next item, consent agenda approval. I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Moved and supported. Vote please.
Mrs. Chenoweth? Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, announcements and information inquiry. There's some new news tonight that I just received. Our trustee, Mary McDonald, is moving into a new phase of life with a birthday. I won't tell you, she's gonna be just a little bit older than I am now, so you got to figure that out.
I can tell you, Mary's gonna be 1 year older than she was last year.
That's right.
But she had a comment that was perfect retort to me, and that was, at least I don't look it. So, I don't see the gray hair there, but I see plenty here, so she wins.
Happy birthday.
So happy birthday. And, another item, Red, White, and Blues Festival, the fireworks will be this, Saturday, the 24th of June, it starts at 6 o'clock. At the old school, former middle school property. There'll be music, food and drinks available, and it starts at 6 o'clock. So if you want to come that early, but it's a fantastic event, and it's worth every bit of your time. I had somebody last year come up to me and just out of the blue said that's the best 65 cents I've ever spent. And at first it took me back, what do you mean by that? Well, that was, he had calculated that was his share of the taxes that we paid for the, to fire off the fireworks, so,
It's a great show.
it is a great show. The Highland DDA Summer Concert Series, Tuesday to 7 p.m. in Veterans Park, begins on July 11th and goes through August 15th. We have a day off every month. The Township office is closed July 4th in observance of Independence Day. And the next item is we're going to have the chief come forward and swear at our new fire. Sorry, yes, sir.
Kyle, can you come up here, please? Kyle Proctor's our newest member coming off probation. Kyle started with our department in February of last year. He spent the last 13, 14, 15 months, whatever it is now, getting his certifications, his training in, as well as juggling his home life and running emergency calls with us. One special note I'd like to mention, Kyle just finished his EMT class in Waterford, which he was named valedictorian of the class out of how many kids? Students? Kids. 20 kids. He scored number one. Number one in the class. With him today, Kyle has his wife Heather, his son Jeremiah, and his daughter Kayla. We have Kayla come up here, please. Figure out how to open a bag. As a probationary firefighter, Kyle was issued a probationary helmet. Now that he's met all of his requirements, he can actually function as a firefighter. He's going to be issued his firefighter helmet. There it is. You were close twice. Congratulate you, Kyle, and now I believe Tammy's going to yell at you.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of the state,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties of firefighter
and I will faithfully perform the duties of firefighter
in and for the Township of Highland,
in and for the Township of Highland,
County of Oakland,
County of Oakland,
and State of Michigan,
and State of Michigan,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Welcome.
Congratulations, Kyle.
Thank you, Kyle. We're looking forward to putting you to work, and it seems like we have, especially with the EMTs, you're going to be busy.
Well, it's not wanting to go to work, just looking for fires. Having to learn.
But it's good to have you here in our working in our community. Thank you. Next item is public comment, and I'm going to limit comments to 2 minutes. So anybody that has something they'd like to say, please raise your hand and we'll call upon you. Yes, sir.
It's Flag Day, so I brought some flags for the board today. So if you're wondering why the flags are there, today is Flag Day.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Ryan?
Oh, go ahead, sir. Go ahead. I like wait.
Is that all we have, just 2 minutes?
Yeah, we're trying to, go ahead and stand up if you got something to say. We'll listen to you.
Not 2 minutes.
Well, do your best.
Okay, all right.
Name and address, please.
Dennis Raymond, 6039 Fish Lake Road, 48442. Okay, I'm here because of a continuing problem we've been having with our neighbor on 6248 Fish Lake Road. And as you know, my neighbor Hank was here the last couple of meetings, and to be honest with you, I probably have a whole file of stuff that I want to talk about, pictures, documents, and emails. This has been going on since 2006, okay? This guy has been to court now 3 times, and we can't seem to get anything done. I have 57 emails since last year when this started in August to Lisa. And she's only been there like 4 times. This guy has been a pain in the neck. I have documents, I have pictures, I have the court orders, and they can't seem to get anything done. Cannot seem to get anything done. Couple of things that, I'll make it real quick, based on the last meeting, Fire Chief, Mr. Chapman, had mentioned that if Hank can prove that he's still operating on Fish Lake Road, that you would do an inspection. All right, I've come up with something on bus file, which is unwanted autos located at 6248. Where is unwanted autos located? Here's the information that you may need to get in there and do your fire inspection. Here's a copy for you people to look at.
Okay, and I'll make it real quick also, there's been pictures taken. What I don't understand is that he had a business operating at a Sunoco station. According to Lisa, he was only supposed to operate on the cars that he was working at. I have a picture of 104 junk cars there, of which nothing was taken care of. Nothing. He finally got kicked out for lack of payment. Okay? Lack of payment.
Where was this at?
It was on the
Oh,
Sunoco
Milford
station.
Road.
Yeah, Milford Road. All right, the other thing I don't understand is how, if I can find this stuff, why can't she? I have a permit from Michigan Department, it's a junkyard permit. I think that classifies as a junkyard. Some of the stuff here, okay, automobile graveyard, means any establishment or place of business which is maintained, used, operated for storing, keeping, buying, selling, wrecked, scrap, or ruined or dismantled motor vehicles, okay? If she would have found this, she could have taken care of that situation and his house. His house has had pictures that they took of all of his junkyards. This was done by Oakland County Sheriff. Here's a copy of the junkyard permit. If I can find this stuff, why can't the township find it? No, she tells me that he's had 3 court orders. He's violated every one. One as quick as 1 week after the court. He was still bringing in his cars and information. And, let me see. The court orders stay, just tell me when my 2 minutes up, I'll do it at the end again. The court order states that he can't bring in all of this stuff, okay? So here they are, here's one from 11, and here's the one from 6. He violates every one. He doesn't care about anything. He just goes in there, the judge has fined him the last time, $1,000. 1 week after he went to court, okay, 1 week after, he was bringing in these cars. And I know I only had 2 minutes, I would do a better job. He was bringing in these cars. I emailed Lisa, and Mr. Hamill was on also. She hasn't been out there. If she's an officer of the court, as Mr. Hamill tells me, then why can't she go down there? You know what she tells me? No trespassing signs. Excuse me, all the hell, but if you're in violation of 3 court orders, several ordinances, and a trespassing sign is gonna hold you back. All you people can go home, build everything you want on your property, don't worry about it, all I gotta do is put up a no trespassing sign. That's all I gotta do, and she won't come around. Here is some pictures of the crap that I had to put up with. He put up a pod, some tarps, okay, and that's what it was. So he puts up all of this stuff, and again, it took a month and a half to get rid of the pod. Isn't that a public nuisance? Isn't that a public nuisance? It's blight. It takes a month and a half to issue a ticket. Come on. She finally got his license taken away or suspended for Champion Auto, which is on Milford Road, and his hauling license from the state. Yet he's still in operation. He drives his trucks up and down. He hauled cars and everything. Just today, my wife was out there, seen him bringing out his tow truck. I seen several cars going in there. I can hear the jackhammer, air hammer, go, whatever you want to call it, impact wrench. He's still doing it. She hasn't gone down there. These licenses, which have been suspended, the reason why he won't put his address on there is because if he does, he'll be operating in violation of the township ordinances, a business in a residential area. So he's running up and down SA Lane now, and whatever, and nothing seems to get done. Nothing. Some of the other stuff I'll make real quick. Here's the pictures after court. So these were the fall pictures. Okay. Those were in 2016. And these were after court. After court, again, nothing gets done. Take this from my driveway, he's working on a fire truck there, okay? Again, I sent emails, nothing seems to get done. Here's some more. He's bringing a car out of his driveway. There's one way in the back there. And there's some more, him hauling them. Again, I sent the pictures, the emails, nothing got done. Didn't even go out there. Why do we have an ordinance officer? All right, I'll make it quick again. Well, okay, I'm gonna tell you about this guy's character, okay? I have been harassed by him, stops in front of my house, swears, gives me the finger, tells me about my wife going to court. One day, I was heading south on Fish Lake. He was heading home. He turned around, deliberately followed me until I stopped at the subdivision across from American Aggregate. So he has harassed me. He's also threatened me through my neighbor Hank, who drove down S.A. Lane. We'll get to that in a minute. S.A. Lane, trapped him in there, wouldn't let him go. Lisa on S.A. Lane was also trapped in. He put an old trespassing sign up. The guy went behind and blocked her in. He's also sworn at her. He's also splashed his son deliberately putting garbage out. Okay, supposedly, years ago, he turned around and flattened Bill Messenger's tires. Okay, can't be proved, but, you know. So this is part of his character. He owed money too. He got kicked out of Sunoco station because he owed money. He got kicked out of Fields because he owes money. He owed money to Nampa, the place that burned down. This guy is just a pain in you know what, and we can't stop it. I have a rip-off report, which again, I don't know why anybody can't find it, where he had an employee that got hurt on the job. This is 2012, but I found it. He fired him. Tried to collect unemployment and workman's comp. He doesn't have insurance. But yet, this guy says he can build a $32,000 garage, paid for in cash, to keep all of his toys in. Okay? Again, nothing gets done. Here's some more pictures, and this is more junk going on.
All right, well, I
Okay.
appreciate,
There's more. Anybody from the board wants to contact me, Lisa, Bill have my number. I have a bunch of more stuff, but the thing that gets me the worst is 57 emails. And I don't even want to embarrass you with the comments that I've received on this. 57 emails. She's been down there 4 times. This has been going on from 06. I'm fed up to here with it. I have my own plan. Okay, and I don't want to do any of this, but if I have to get my taxes reduced, and if I go down there with 15 neighbors and show them all this stuff, I think I have a good chance of winning my taxes being reduced. And I'm sure somebody, Andy Miser, will be calling somebody down here wondering what the heck's going on Fish Lake Road. Okay, with all of this. All of these documents. And now I mentioned to the attorney, and I'll make it real quick. The attorney wants me to go and testify. Excuse me, attorney. I got 57 emails that says you want there 4 times, and you want me to go down there and jeopardize myself because of past experiences? He needs to win a case. Been down there 3 times. Perry Mason only lost 3 cases in 9 years. He's going to number 4. So I hate to have him lose this one. I'm just tired of it. And I have more stuff, and believe me, I don't want to take up any more time, but I need somebody from the board to call me or meet with you, because this is totally ridiculous. And if I have to issue a writ of mandamus to the township, I will, in order to get you to do your job. Not you, your ordinance department.
Who was the attorney on this?
Paul Groth.
The writ?
No, Paul Groth is our attorney on this.
Yeah, Paul, and he came to my house. why don't you sign this affidavit and says, you go down there? Excuse me, Paul, the first time I went down there, Mr. Powers, your esteemed previous guy, told me I had too much time on my hands. But he can go golfing, maybe I should have went golfing with him. Then I wouldn't have had some time on my hands. But this is the kind of crap I get. And this is what I'm tired of. I want answers, and I want them as soon as possible. This guy is still in operation as of yesterday, today, and whatever. And S.A. Lane. He moved his operation to S.A. Lane, right around the corner, for a friend, and I told Lisa about it. I gave her pictures of him ahead of time. She hasn't gone down there until he put up a no trespassing sign. I don't understand. Violation of all these ordinances, and she can't get in there with the cops or within it. Explain all this to me, because I don't understand it. Okay, and I have more stuff, which at the end, I'll sort out and I'll just pass it on to you so you can take a look at it.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate your, I can't give you words that are the right words. The reason I didn't hold you 2 minutes is because this is stuff that needs to be said, and I think both of you, Hank and Dennis, have sat down with me, we sat down with the attorney. You know that I have been trying to make something happen, and my hands have been tied, and I know that sounds like a cheap way to put it, but my hands have been tied.
Somebody's got to tell you.
I've got to follow what our attorney tells us to do. I will reinforce what you said, in that there probably hasn't been enough visits, but we can't camp there.
No, I
And the odd
understand
thing
you can't
is,
do.
let me finish here, the odd
Okay.
thing is that 2 weeks ago, I bought a new motorcycle, I went out for a motorcycle ride, and I saw Mr. Stocker turn down, what's the road up there to the north that he comes down?
Munger or S.A.
Munger
Lane?
Road, he
Yeah.
came down Munger Road, well, I had
I
a
told
brand
you
new
he's doing it.
motorcycle, I wasn't gonna go driving down that thing,
Right.
that just chlorided it. So I turned around and I went the other way, and what I saw were his taillights going into the property in S.A. Lane.
You're right.
But you cannot see anything in there right now with the way the vegetation is.
Well,
So
yeah.
I can't legally go on that property, and we can't do that without some other factors being involved in it. So, and I think one of the things you were told is, by the lawyer, we have to prove that that's happening there,
Right.
of which we can't do photographically at this point.
Why?
We can't go on his property.
No, but you got a flyover from back in November from Oakland County Sheriff's
But
Department.
that's
which
not
I
the
gave
S.A.
you.
Lane one.
No, but that's
And it's
where
not
that started from, was
Yeah,
from those
but
flyovers.
Separate pieces of property, separate scenarios, and that's, so anyways, I can't get too involved in this. Doesn't mean that we're not gonna carry forward. I think it's a good thing that you come to the board with the information you
Right.
have, because we gotta find a way to resolve this
Well,
type of thing.
again, you got a junkyard permit, okay, we know he's got all these cars in there, he's in violation now of the state, he's in violation of his licenses being revoked. How much more do we have to give this guy before we legally can do something? This attorney's gotta think out of the box, okay? You gotta do a flyover, I don't care what you do, he put up this big berm. Bill Messenger tells me, oh, I drove by, I didn't see nothing. Bill, you got a 15-foot high berm, you gotta drive in to see what's going on. That was the most ridiculous comment I've ever gotten.
And that's
I
the
mean,
problem,
they just
he has
plain
to drive
stupid.
in, which is a trespass.
But if Lisa went on S.A. Lane, when I sent those pictures, not a month later, she would have been able to get in there, but now they put up the trespassing sign, so she claims that they can't. Okay, but yet, we got a junkyard permit, we got this, we got that. I don't know, you know, I mean, this is ridiculous. Why in the hell am I putting up with this, okay? If I have to go to court, taxes, or whatever, I'll do it until somebody moves here.
Well, I think that,
And if 18
in
people-
the resolution of tonight, I think that the one thing that you did admit to was that our attorney came to you and asked you to go to court,
Yeah,
and you said
I-
you didn't want to.
No.
So now, no, you said you didn't wanna sign an affidavit.
Right.
Sign, go to court.
Right.
So, now you put the ball in the, it's, kick the ball
no,
again. So
excuse
you
me,
gotta-
I got 57 emails from 2016 that she hasn't done anything about. But yet you want me to go to court and do her job. You want me to go to court and put my wife in jeopardy, me and everything else, because I got 57 emails, and you should see the stupid comments on there.
We got
Okay?
that. Okay, so.
All right, so
thank
I'm just
for your
telling you, so
comment.
don't tell me, I'm not going to court when she hasn't done her job. If she would've went to SA Lane, I would've backed her up. But I'll be damned if I'm gonna back up somebody that just sits there and I give them information from 2 weeks ahead of time, and, well, oh, here's the, no trespassing sign. Well, if you'd have went when I told you, I don't expect people to jump. But 2, 3, 4 weeks after, you're 10 minutes away from here
I'm
to
gonna
SA Lane.
address our attorney at this time. I know you're not on this particular case, but we can't use any of your information in court. But if you sign an affidavit saying so, we could use your information in court. Photographs, everything. So we'll have to discuss this later, but this is the kind of thing that I'm gonna have to get a little bit smarter on that part of it. I'll talk to our attorney to find out what's going on, but we can't use your data.
I can't do your job.
Well, you can help with us on our job.
Not unless you were
Because
helping me.
you're right there taking the pictures. and
Okay,
that's
but
what-
who's helping me? You want me, if
Okay,
this
all
crap
right, we have
happened
to-
in front
we have
of
to
your
stop this
house,
right
you would've
now.
been long gone.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Huh?
I'll be back
Gary?
next month to finish it up.
Did you, I can't comment on the individual case, but having listened to this gentleman, you know, courts issue orders, you know, I don't know what the orders said.
Got copies of them.
If they were just fines, they're fines, and that's it. I don't know if the court has issued injunctive orders, that's something to be corrected. But as far as the township being able to go on someone's private property, if it's posted against trespass, sure, you could go on there. Two things might happen. One, you may have committed a criminal violation. Two, if you did see the conditions this gentleman's reporting, you wouldn't be able to admit that in evidence in a case claiming a violation based on what you saw. There are procedures where a request to go on property for an inspection can be presented to the court, and if it's approved, you then may go on the property legally without liability for trespass and with the evidence gathered admissible in court. Many times to get a search warrant such as that, you have to show something to the court that you have a basis for it. That could be where Mr. Groth was asking for assistance from this gentleman by way of an affidavit. In a standard case where the police want to search a property in a traditional criminal case, the officer will typically provide an affidavit and may even appear before the judge and swear under oath as to what he believes his situation to be, and the judge or magistrate will then determine whether there's probable cause sufficient to allow a search of the property. The same procedure applies in the code enforcement context. I know Mr. Grove, he's been doing this a long time. I'm confident that he is handling it consistent with how the Novi District Court works.
So, just so the board understands, part of it, what Gary was talking about, there was a court finding, and the finding was that we could go on his property if it was evidence that he had he could take one truck home, but if he had both trucks on the property at the same time for 48 hours or more, then we could go on property. So you drive by there, and the guy's, you know he's got them, both, one or more of them out there, because he's got a red one and a white one. And I see the red one on the road, and I go, well, that screws that up, because he's left, and you can't get 48 hours, and it's 48 hours in a row. So in essence, we got hog-tied by the judge saying that you can't go on that property until you've evidenced both vehicles being there for 48 hours. We can't camp on there. We can't camp out there. And so what we have to ask is, and the guy, granted, may have some issues that are less than stellar for people to have to deal with, but when we take it to the point where we need help, we need help. And that's where we're at. And from what I can see from a legal basis, we've put all the things in play that we need to do to make it work, but we can't camp there, and we can't go on other people's property and drive in there. Now, I don't know that this is the case, but I did look into some stuff with the FAA. The FAA states that the property lines do not leave the ground. So the airspace is open to whoever has a license or whatever to fly in that airspace. You can
Still want
take
to get an
pictures.
opinion from Mr. Groth on that.
Right, but the thing is that now what you're doing is you're putting, that would put us in a position where I probably would not legally be able to fly a quadcopter up to take a picture with the intent to find that out. You can take a picture way up there and say I was doing a gravel pit and see what's there, but we can't hang out there and fly over this guy's property without probably something happening that we did, and even.
That's an evolving area of law.
Yeah,
And
and it's real
I
sticky.
can't give you an opinion on whether you can do that and have the evidence be admissible.
And I have a license and I'm not willing to lose it, so, yes.
My biggest question is, this has been going on since 2006.
Name and address, please.
I'm sorry, Henry Nedza, 6019 Fish Lake Road, Holly, Highland Township, 48442. This has been going on since 2006. The last year, it's been very intense. You can't do these things, but we have to live there. How the heck do you expect us to live there and become the Hatfield and McCoys? You asking us to go to court when you've got employees that are supposed to be doing something about it. And I was here a month ago. What's been done in the last month, if anything? I bet you they haven't even been there.
Mr. Raymond met with the attorney.
Yeah, and what he wants us to do is sign affidavits. What are your employees doing, if anything? If
I
he's
think
got time to do
our
it.
attorney here, Hank, probably said it as clearly as you could. We can't trespass.
He can do what he wants to do. He can move his operation to SA Lane. Now you have another dismantling business going on there. And this is all legal. The guy can do it and get away with it. And you guys sit there with mud in your face and nothing you can do about it? Something's wrong in the cuckoo nest.
I don't disagree with you. So,
Okay.
on that note, we thank you guys.
Thank you.
Let's hope that we don't have
We'll be here
another
next
month
month
of this.
again, we'll see.
Well, let's hope we don't have to do that, or next month. we
I
can
hope,
say thank you.
because it's, Dennis is not gonna put up with it, believe me.
I'm very
I'm
tired of
sorry.
it myself, so, thank you for commenting. Now we know what 2 minutes is. You're pretty much matched to a Hamel 2 minutes, so we'll move on from there.
Can I take anybody else's 2 minutes?
All right, so we need to move on. That was public comment. Anybody else? Going and.
I just wanted to piggyback off the concerts. First concert in SE, correct me if I'm wrong, is Toppermost, correct?
Right.
On the 11th of July, so if you guys want to come out and see, the Beatles have their own channel on Sirius Radio, so we get the best tribute band here in Highland on the 11th, starting at 7 o'clock. So come out, we like the Beatles, these guys are outstanding. #1 tribute band in Michigan, we get every year, so we're lucky to get them. If you ever look at on their website, they are booked everywhere, so it's nice to scroll down and see Highland Township on that list, so if you get a chance, come out and see them, they're excellent.
All right.
I have one real quick.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you to VFW Post 9914 for distributing flags at the 2 Highland cemeteries for all the veterans. It's quite a project they take on every year for Memorial Day, and I didn't realize they did it until I started working in the clerk's office. I think it's a great project they do every year.
Anybody else?
June 29th, the Milford Summer Concert Series is honoring military veterans, police, fire, and EMS. I'm kind of in charge of that ceremony, and the invitation's been open to the county sheriff's office, our firemen, and the EMS folks, so, it's gonna be a nice thing.
And one more.
Okay.
So I just want to say thanks to Joe Salvia. I'm so glad he's back in charge of the parade in Milford for Memorial Day, and I guess the Huron Valley Memorial Day Parade. It's whatever, but it's Milford, but it's all the people that come, and it's just impressive and big undertaking. And I was happy to do my part, get a few students down there and help out ahead of time. And nice job. It was always well done. So good job.
All right. Okay, we're going to move on to new business. First item, going to open a public hearing. It's for use requiring special approval number 17-01 for a transfer station for compost materials. The applicant is Shane Kern, Kern Enterprise Inc., and property owner Patrick Kern. parcels number 1122-176-019 and 1122-326-001, or commonly known as 784 North Milford Road. So at 7:05, we're going to open the public hearing. Any comments of the public? Questions? On the board?
So this has been operating there, taking in some compost before?
No. The information that he's attested to is that he has a business friend that has a compost site. And what is the biggest problem with these compost sites is they don't want to take plastic bags and things like that some of the compost gets put in, because it messes up their machine. So he's very particular about who he takes on. And thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
So what he wants to do is he wants to have and one of the problems we have in Highland is we don't have any place to take sod and dirt that you might dig up because our trash people don't take that. So this is just compostable materials, and what he'll do is he'll stockpile them. He has a limited amount of space, then he has an arrangement with this other individual to transfer that to his compost site, so they control the quality of the compost by doing this. I know the planning commission had no issues with it, and I think did a pretty good job of vetting out what he would like to do there. I think it is an asset to the township to have a place to put that stuff. So that's public comment.
James Lennon, 2466 Amelia. What kind of compost are we talking about? Are we talking about like household waste, yard waste, or are we talking manure, something like that?
Yard waste.
Stuff that's gonna smell?
No more than composting, grass or whatever. There's possibly a smell there, but it backs up to the railroad tracks, and there's no residential that's really within near proximity. But it's not going to be where he's brewing the stuff there. He's just bringing it in, and as soon as he gets a load of it, then he hauls it out to another site.
So it's maybe 2-3 days?
And it might be a week or two. I mean,
A week max. A week.
yeah.
And he's not gonna sell compost out of there?
No.
So it's a temporary
Yeah.
staging area.
Yeah.
And, is there going to be a fee for that, the residents who want to bring it there?
I believe that he probably will.
I thought it was commercial that he said, I don't remember that he said it was commercial, landscapers and.
There's a flyer in the packet.
So, okay, all right.
Well, it says he'll take leaf bags and sod and grass and build it, so he'll take stuff on the public too, right?
Right. And there's things like when this particular spring, everybody was out raking their yards in March, and we didn't have compost pickup until April. So there were people that had 50 bags of leaves out there and no place to put them. And you can't leave them sit there, and they can't, because the bags just fall apart within a week. So this is an opportunity that in that case we can direct those people to take those bags.
Would it be free for us to drop it off?
I
No,
don't
there's
have
charges on this flyer, there's
Yeah.
charges. Like leaf bags are $3 each. It's charges for like cubic yard and other stuff.
But anyways, it's an opportunity to have a place where if you are doing some work in the yard and you don't have a place to put it, it's a close local opportunity to be able to handle it. And cost to it, he's not making any money on it from the standpoint that he's not turning it to compost, so he's not making a benefit of that. So, any other comments? Okay, we'll close the public hearing at 7:09. And the next thing that we're going to do is consider approval of a use required special 1701 for a transfer station for compost materials. Applicant Shane Kern, Kern Enterprise, and proper owner Patrick Kern. Somebody want to make a motion?
I would move to, allow, to approve the approval of the use required special, or the special approval of 17-01 for a transfer station for compost materials.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported, roll please.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 And yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, the next item, 7C, is to consider, is an introduction to a proposed ordinance number 457, an ordinance to amend the private road ordinance to alter the limits on road length, modify the threshold where paving is required, and allow for extensions of permits, incorporate fire code and department requirements. So, if you've read your memorandum, last meeting we put together a committee which was comprised of Mary, McDonald, Joe, myself, Beth. And we did, Chief, were you at that one, or we consulted that anyways?
Yes.
And so anyways, we went through the ordinance with Beth and came up with a recommendation. And the most recent recommendation was that just got handed out to you, or it was on just emailed to you yesterday. So I think one of the things that was interesting just for public purpose, what we had was an ordinance that required a private road with 4 or more houses to be one paved. And we looked at that to determine, this paving requirement that should be put, that much emphasis be put on for homes to be able to pay for it. If you have a 1,300-foot long road that has to meet county spec requirements, you can have $500,000 invested in paving job. So we were trying to look for a couple of things. Highland's a rural community, dirt roads are everywhere. At what point does a dirt road become not such a good thing to live on? And what we determined as a group was that if you had up to 16 homes on a private road, it can stay gravel, still needs to meet county spec standards. And so that's one of the recommendations in here. And then we talked about the length of roads. And the current one, 1,300 feet, is the limit of a private road. So we had to look at, the question, where does that number come from? Well, there's some standards that have been set over time. One is, if you think about a city environment, almost every block is 1,300 feet. And then there's a crossroad. And the reason for that is it allows for bypass for either emergency vehicles or property owners. Should the road be blocked, you can usually get to where you need to go. So that's the reason for that layout. So it's a number that's been in planning for probably going back to almost the Roman days in terms of laying roads and streets and so on out. But that's the current rationale behind that. So if it exceeds 1,300 feet, then there should be some application in there that allows for a future requirement that it can be connected to another road, so that it forms that dual entryway. Some of the other components are, say, so at the end of a private road that exists, somebody has 20, 30 acres or 10 acres and they want to split it, and that split creates more than 16 homes, then that parcel owner is responsible for bringing the road up to spec. So if there's 16 homes on it, that means they have to pay it. And that doesn't mean that you can force the current residents to pay for that. So it's kind of one of the things that can help, maybe control too many splits on parcels of property, so that there's some dynamics that, as we talked about before, with Mr. King's property, which this came from, how many pieces or parcels are you going to split with the next guy split his 9 acre parcels or 35 acre parcels into? And what it does is it changes the dynamics for the owner of that property. You split that thing and there's now 17 people on it, you're building a paved county spec road. And, so that can change the way that people look at how they divide the land up. And also helps maintain our larger rural atmosphere. So is there any questions from the board on this item?
Clarify a lot of things, enhance some words, it made things more logical, more reasonable.
Let's see, we did also. So, this is a document that we are intending to introduce, I guess we make a motion to introduce it.
We can just announce it as
Announce it.
introduced.
Okay.
I'm having trouble hearing what Joe's saying.
I just wondered, do we need to move on this? The question was, do we need to move on this or just present it next month?
It's on your agenda tonight to introduce.
So we've
That is
introduced
the
it.
first step in a charter township. Next step is to adopt. I'd just like to clarify that the board has before it an updated version circulated by Ms. Corwin.
Yes.
Okay.
That was emailed yesterday, and then I also printed it out, and we have it at the table here with us.
And just for the board's benefit, that reflected some comments that I got over too late to get into the document posted in the packet. And if you are looking at that document and considering introducing it, I would recommend one change. It's a matter of form more than anything. It's on page 2 at the bottom where it says further section 20-22 waivers, which currently reads as follows. It's my understanding that we don't want this ordinance to include that existing language. It would be fine to delete that phrase which says, which currently reads as follows, so that it will say further section 20-22 waivers shall be replaced in its entirety by amendment to read as follows, picking up on the next page.
Correct.
That's a matter of form.
Okay, yes, that's what we intended. Okay, so, we'll have to pick that up. Good job, we'll pick that up off the tape. So it says, further section 20-22 waivers.
Shall be replaced in its entirety by amendment to read as follows. Yeah, just
Okay,
take
good.
this out of there.
All right, and then it picks up on the last,
Right.
fourth, page 3, shall be replaced in its entirety. That's correct. All right, we've introduced proposed ordinance number 457, we'll revisit that next month.
Is there a motion?
That's what we're trying to figure out. Is
Yes,
there a
you need a motion.
Motion
Need
to
a motion to
introduce.
introduce?
Yes.
We have a motion, we have a second,
Second.
moved and seconded, roll please.
Yes?
Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. Joe, did
Joe.
I can't hear you very well, I'm sorry.
I did say it loud, but
Okay.
We don't even have the fans on, so.
Yeah,
motion
probably.
to introduce ordinance number 457.
Who seconded it?
Judy,
Okay.
I thought you said it loud.
won't fight over it.
Yeah.
All right, the next item, community transportation guidelines. A number of months ago, the in-house officials were put to the requirement to take on the guidelines so that we could gel this and combine it and get it done. And so, a little over a month ago, Judy, Tammy, myself, Kim, the director, the bus drivers, and who else did we have there?
Yes, sir. Crystal.
Crystal and Jen. They also were there. So we went through the transportation guidelines with all of the individuals involved. We discussed the requirements with the drivers and the employees, so they understood what their position is and what we expected of them. And so in your packet, you were supplied with those guidelines. And there was basically three components of the driver bus operating procedure. There's a program guidelines and there's operating procedures. And Judy, would you like to comment? You have something.
You know, you can go through these things 20 times, and today all of a sudden it dawned on me on page 7, which it, under the,
You drive training?
yes,
Page 7 of what? Which one?
the CTP driver bus operating procedures. It designates numbers and salaries, and our intention is not to have to approve this every year. So we'll take the numbers out of the document and replace it with some kind of a salary schedule. And the same with fares. Because the fares could change too. And so instead of redoing the entire document, we would just redo whatever the
Some attached schedule or something like that.
appendix is, or, yeah, whatever. Does that make sense to you, Kim?
Yeah.
So page 7 was one spot, and the last page with the fare and ticket schedule. And I mean, maybe we want to approve the fare and ticket schedule every year, or just change the verbiage to say something like to be updated on an as-needed basis.
Does that sound all right, Kim?
You could leave those in and say, yeah, so this approval is this, and then when it's subject to change by board direction, then you don't have to go back and change it, you know.
I mean, however, it's just all of a sudden today
It's
is
kind of
this
nice to have that history
glaring.
there.
Well, that's a good point too,
Yeah.
Mary, because then we know where we've come
Yeah,
from.
where
and-
you started, and, yeah. I don't think it hurts to have it in there, but just, you know, make it clear that you
You
can
just don't wanna
change
redo it every year?
Just put in there, subject to change based on board approval.
Subject to approval by
There
the
you go.
board.
That works.
Where is the fare schedule at?
It's like the last page.
Is that really
It
fair?
says fare and ticket schedule.
That's under operating procedures,
It's under,
so.
it's page 8
I
of
see
that
it.
first section.
Okay.
So
I
everything
have
turn
a
page
couple of
1.
questions on it.
Yes.
On page 1, it talks about drivers who park their buses at home, and I kind of wonder why that's allowed and if that's really a good idea, and maybe Gary can speak to that. And I don't know why you would have a bus driver park their bus at home. To me, it's kind of a
The
liability.
rationale behind it is that there's one driver in Milford, who lives in Milford, and a driver that lives in Highland, and we don't have a lot of space to be parking the buses here because they take up the parking lot. So we've got 5 buses, and that means we only have to allocate space for 3, and that's at the campus. So that was part of the thought process. The other part is that you have to warm these vehicles up, and by having them at their home, they can go out, fire up the vehicle, warm it up, and then they can leave from there and pick up the nearest rider, which is close to each one of their homes. There's nothing from SMART that has indicated that that's an issue. So we've checked into that, so we didn't run into a problem with that. And as long as they're driving that bus, they're covered by the program anyways. And then when they park that bus, it's done. And I don't know anything else in that. Maybe Gary, you got something on that.
I saw it, even highlighted it, insurance issues?
Right, insurance coverage.
None that we could pick up on, so.
I mean, has anybody checked? I mean, usually
We've
your
talked the
vehicle
whole
has it.
insurance thing over with the MMRs, with our.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're not losing any insurance coverage, and if SMART is fine with it, I mean, my concerns would just be practical concerns, not legal concerns. You know, if you've got a smart bus parked in a residential neighborhood, I assume it's a residential neighborhood, it's in Milford.
One of them's parked in Milford and they live on over 3 acres, and the other one is parked in Highland and he lives on over 3 acres.
Now, being a municipal attorney, I might say, well, is that allowed by that community zoning ordinance? Part of a commercial vehicle, or arguably a commercial vehicle in a residential zone. So, I mean.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was concerned about too.
I don't know the answer, but I mean.
Well, there's probably lots of people who have commercial vehicles that bring them home.
Oh, there are.
Yeah.
And, I mean, and they may be violating an ordinance, and maybe they haven't been prosecuted or ticketed or whatever,
But the township shouldn't violate
we
it.
would
That's
not
what
want
it
to,
says.
I wouldn't think, we would want to be in that posture of getting a notice from a community with the name Milford in it.
Well, what we will do is we will research that and come
Yeah.
back with the answer.
I think we should make sure the insurance company is aware of the fact that the vehicle is not on the property overnight, so that there's no issue about the fact
Right.
that.
We'll get an answer to those questions.
Those are the only concerns I can think of on
Then
that.
I had another question on page 2, number 11. What constitutes an emergency? I mean,
Oh. Drivers will be paid for a minimum 4 hours.
Kim, you wanna address that? What constitutes an emergency?
can you read it to me?
It says drivers will be paid for a minimum of 4 hours when called in for a quote-unquote emergency. So the question is, what constitutes an emergency?
Another driver has to go home, somebody gets sick, like a couple years ago when the ambulance carried me away, somebody had to come in and fill in for me. Just a work pertaining emergency, so we get paid 4-hour minimum.
Because they get called.
Because they get called in on their off time, they come in.
And it's an incentive for somebody to be, drop what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah. We used to do it with our employees, if we had a crisis, and I had to bring somebody in, I'd say, come in, and give you an incentive to come in for this time. You're leaving a family party, or dropping something else, or changing your schedule.
I mean, the rarity of it happening was, the last one was when I was taken by ambulance, so
Sure.
it doesn't happen that often, but it needs to be covered should something like that happen. It's hard.
Well, it's a good question.
The other thing that I noticed throughout the whole document, it talks about, you know, the driver does this, or driver does that, you have to do this, and then it says you or your, and it's kind of both ways, and it ought to read all drivers, you know, because this isn't a document for the drivers, these are documents for the program itself. The drivers have to abide by them, but, you know, to me, it's confusing when it reads this way.
Like, are you saying like on number 21 on page 3?
Or number 7,
It's all throughout the whole document.
for instance, number 7.
And I think it would just clean it up if we took all of the you and yours out and spoke about the drivers or the director or whoever is speaking about.
So I'll give an example for on this one. Drivers who park their buses won't start their time when they leave their driveway no earlier than 7:45, must be approved by director. If your first pickup is 9 a.m. and it's 5 to 10 minutes
Your
from
first
your home, it could
Or it
say
should be
from the driver's
Right.
home.
So I think the whole document is that way, and I think it would look a little more professional, cleaned up if it spoke about the driver, the position, you know, rather than saying you and your, and, so if we can, you know,
That's good.
do that and get it back next meeting, that would probably be good.
That's a good idea.
Are we looking to approve this tonight, subject?
I think that Mary's got a good point.
Yeah.
We don't have to, I mean, we've been going without it for how many months?
Yeah.
The object is to get it so it's right, and that's a good point. We did look through it, but in fact, there was a lot of stuff like that we did catch, but it's, once you've read it, like, when somebody new reads it, then, so I agree with you, and that's pretty easy to do. So, what we'll do is we'll get the document modified, and go through, on that basis. Bring it back next month, and,
We'll check our zoning ordinance.
It's not a crisis to have this voted on.
right, and then we can have answers next month to the, whether they can take them home or not, you know, that kind of thing, so. Whether we find it or not,
So that's probably the driving force more than the laws. So
So,
cosmetic cleanup and validating the bus that covers insurance.
right,
And
so.
the zoning ordinance as far as the buses being parked.
All right.
So what we'll do is, I'm gonna make a motion that we, I'm gonna have to make a motion, we're just gonna pull this off the docket and move it to the next, board meeting.
That doesn't create a crisis in the operation.
No.
All right.
It's actually been running very well. I think that, having had the conversation with all the employees, it was a good one. There were some things that needed to be kind of straightened out, that, reading the document through with, the employees helped.
Well, yeah, they need to
So-
know what.
And they also allowed them to have input and to be able to discuss, you know, to give us their input on how they feel about what they, on that note, we'll, move this into the, next month.
It's kind of the same thing.
Okay, next item, is item E7E, and it's a pay increase for community transportation office assistant and bus driver position. If you, in your, packet, you'll have a single page that has two items on it. We're splitting that into two parts. The first one is, a discussion for a raise. I think it states pretty clearly in there, the rationale behind it. I know that we are normally, we like to try and keep it at budget time, but what's happened is this individual's been operating in a extended capacity of what she was hired to do, and it seems fair that she should be able to at least be in the same pay range as the other drivers. So far, we've been having a number of days where there's 4 buses going. So we have 4 drivers.
I agree with you, Rick. I think it's budget time is the better time to do that. I mean, I understand the circumstances here, but for the future, you know, we should talk raises for anybody at budget time, not.
We talked about that today. It's just, I mean, I see right where they're coming from on this one. And in the past, we had that kind of step thing too, you know, I remember where if you get to a certain training point, well, then we talk about increase.
So,
Well, this is more of a special circumstance than.
This is
you know,
definitely, yeah,
budget.
she's doing another part, another
Right.
job on top of that, so.
and she's doing a fantastic job at that
Yeah.
too, so it's great that we were able to find somebody that could fill us on a temporary, you know, a part-time basis like that. And she enjoys the job tremendously, and the people she picks up like her a lot, so.
And you know, everywhere you look, you see the school district's begging for bus
Screaming
drivers.
for
Yeah.
So if we've got a good bus
I-
driver, we should keep it.
Yeah.
Bus in the corner.
Yes.
Heartland's always looking too, so.
And we had a bus
Yeah,
on in front of their place too.
Yeah.
All right, so,
I'd move to raise the, wage of Crystal Simmons from $11.29 to $12 an hour.
Support.
Can we make that effective June 28th, so it aligns with the pay plan?
We can.
So moved by Judy and supported by Mary Kat.
all right, vote please.
Mr. Salvia?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Next item, new hire community transportation bus driver. We put out a request for bus drivers and received one that we had an interview with. And we still need bus drivers. And it just so happens that, I interviewed, Ricky Gross, I'm playing on his RIKKI, who is the daughter of, Jack, who is one of our bus drivers, just happened to be there. And, she, is very familiar with working with the elderly. She has her, she's totally capable of driving the buses, so on and so forth. And so in this, we asked that if we were to hire her, that we start her at a probationary rate of $9.75 an hour. And then through her month of training and the 3-month probation period, at which time then she would be raised to $10.50 an hour for the remainder of the year.
Remainder of the fiscal year?
Yes, until December 31st. Or should we look at it at budget time?
We should probably look at it at budget time.
We'll address this one at budget time as well, and then she'll have plenty of time between now and October to have proven one way or another whether that's a thing we should do. So.
I'd like to request to hire Ricky Gross immediately as a part-time driver. Started the pay rate of $9.75 through a month of training and 3 months probation period following.
Was that 4 months?
Yes.
4 months,
Four months,
okay,
okay.
4 month probationary period following.
Yeah, so 4 months is pretty much part of the budget time anyway, so, we can leave it at that, we don't have to advertise differently. Is that right, Kim? Okay,
Support.
Support, moved and supported, vote please.
Mrs. McDowell?
Yes.
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 Motion carries.
All right, thank you, Kim. Good job for all the work you've been doing on this, appreciate it very much. The next item is, permit for the Red, White, and Blues, Fireworks Festival. Guess we have to follow all of that process. In package with permits, so I guess all we need to do is a motion to introduce it.
I would move to approve the application for fireworks from Mr. Michael Freeland.
Support.
East Pyro.
Sorry.
Support. Okay, moved and supported, vote please.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
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 Motion carries.
Okay, the next item here on Valley Schools tax agreement, Judy, you want to tell me about that one quickly?
During the summer tax bill, we don't collect any money that's Highlands. It's all basically for schools, the zoo, county. So, because it's a special election under state law, throughout the years, we have negotiated with other townships that are involved with here in Valley Schools. We've negotiated a per parcel charge for them to collect their taxes. So this is the agreement for 2017, 18, 19, 20, and 21. The fee for last year, I think we stayed the same for 1 year, and then increases. So we have about 8,400 parcels. Yeah, we were at $4.95 a parcel for 2016. And so the revenue that this generates, because OCC and Oakland Intermediate Schools, they pay as well. They pay a percent of whatever their portion of the tax bill is. So the total revenue that comes in for this is under summer tax collection. Last year was $46,497.53. So this is just going forward. We have an increase every year of, looks like 10 cents a person.
All right. You want to make a motion?
I was wondering why there's 2 copies of it in the packet. Is there?
I don't know.
It's,
I think
it's
it
the
was
same
just a-
one?
Yeah, it's the
Okay.
same one. So this is just looking for approval for Rick and I to sign the agreement for Highland.
I move to approve the Huron Valley Schools tax agreement with Highland for 2017 through 2021.
Support.
Moved and supported. Vote please.
Mrs. Chenoweth?
Yes.
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 Motion carries.
Alright, next item is award bid for rooftop unit. Rooftop unit being the AC, air conditioning and heating unit. To give you a little bit of history on this, a few years ago, a couple of years ago,
3 rounds of the Hallelujah.
we replaced some ductwork because of some mold issues. In other words, it was smelly and the air conditioning come on and it smelled. Didn't happen when the heat came on because it turns out these ducts weren't being used, the ductwork wasn't being used for heating. So I went up on the rooftop, I discovered that what was happening is the ductwork was collecting water because it was improperly installed in such a way that it actually captured water. And so we had some of that ductwork replaced, and it was then insulated on the outside and sealed tight so that we wouldn't have any more issues. Well, it turns out that there's another set of ductwork that is on another unit, which is probably about 32 or 33 years old now. When I went up there and looked at it with the couple of contractors, one of the things I noticed was that the newer unit that we have, which is just a few years old, is also a furnace, a heater, that's not hooked up. All you have to do is put gas to it and then put a thermostat that does heat and cool. And I thought, well, that's pretty weird. Why would you put a heating and cooling unit up there and not take advantage of it? Well, the other investigation I did is our boiler was built in 1962, and it's still in good shape because it was built like a army tank, but its lifespan is becoming very limited, and if we should have a failure in that boiler, we have no way to heat any of the building from my office to the north. So there'd be some cold people in there. So what happens is, I looked at the, have the ductwork replaced. The piece of ductwork that's the problem literally sits on the roof. And when it gets any debris or detritus or ice up there, and then it melts, it forms an ice dam, and then it puts water in, it drips in the building around the vent, and that's causing a potential issue with mold, which we have to avoid. So, I had this set out for bids for a replacement of that unit with one equal to the one that's sitting next to it, and having them both hooked up so that they're heaters as well. So what happens is, springtime comes, you don't have to turn the boiler on. You can just let it modulate till winter, and then the boiler can take over if need be. If the boiler fails, we have a heating system anyway, so it would allow us to be able to look at a longer term modification of the current heating system, which is really old and would require some extensive work to replace. So we put it out to bid. The low bidder was Goyette Mechanical, and which I was pleased with because they also do all of the mechanical work at the library, and they also are the ones that inspect our boilers, so it's kind of I didn't expect them to be the cheapest because they're a pretty large firm, but so they were the lowest bidder at $10,650, and so I'll make a motion. I recommend we approve the proposal from Goyette Mechanical to replace the appropriate ductwork and install a new train rooftop heating and cooling unit for the amount of $10,650.
Support.
Moved and supported. Vote please.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
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 Motion carries.
Okay, Chief.
All right.
Your turn.
Good evening, folks. At the April board meeting, the board approved the use of the Rochester Hills RFP for fire apparatus. Listed on the Mitten network, Highland Township Fire Department would like to request the board to consider the next step in the process. In September of 2016, our department formed a truck committee. For the past 9 months, our committee has worked diligently researching and reviewing options for future needs for the community as well as our department. It is our recommendation to purchase the following fire apparatus. Based on the Mitten Rochester Hills RFP, Pierce Forcer with the puck under cap pumper chassis is a versatile fire apparatus that offers 20% more storage than other rescue pumper apparatus and rescue depth storage, deeper compartments on either side of the vehicle. As we progress as a department, the above features are vital to provide an all-response type vehicle. And I apologize for the attachments. There's a lot of information I sent you guys. Basically what they are just a detailed listing of what would be on this vehicle, quick reference sheet for what's going to be on the vehicle, drawing of the new vehicle design, pricing detail, what it would cost, and if we chose to look at options for financing was the last attachment. The list price for the vehicle, MSRP, like buying a vehicle, is $728,534. With the Rochester's Hills Mitten bid pricing, it dropped it down to $692,588. If we were to pre-fund the vehicle construction, it's going to drop it down another $30,000, $661,680. We met with Tom Traciak from Umbaugh Municipal Finance Consulting Firm. He recommended our best path would be to pre-fund this and pay the $661,680.78. Just to touch on the cost a little bit. Last time we bought a fire truck was in 2007. At the time, we bought 2 vehicles. Each vehicle cost $468,201. Based on Pierce's pricing schedule, a 3% increase every year. If we bought the same vehicle that we purchased back in 2007, that vehicle would run this year $648,000. The vehicles we bought in 2007 had 197 cubic feet of storage for engine 1 of 3.
About right.
197 cubic feet of storage. This new vehicle that we're looking at has 405 cubic feet of storage. And it's all put on the same platform or same frame that we currently operate out with. One of our main concerns was getting in different areas of the community and making sure that we were able to respond to all areas. So I guess to move on, we request the board approve the budget amendment for the current operating budget year. Respectfully request transfer the amount of $661,680.78 from the operating account 206-290-001-965-206 Fire FD reserve to the 402-657 contribution from fire fund for capital expense purchases.
Okay, I got a question for you. There's 120 pages. On page 15, you've got cab air conditioning performance certification. I'm kind of confused on that.
Time.
It's actually
I'm just teasing you.
That's why I brought him. He's ready to roll though.
I did go through and I went, that's a lot of work with that. It's a great job on that.
I would like to add that there's been a lot of stuff that we put into this truck that are for the future of the fire department. One of the things is cameras on all 4 sides. Everybody knows we've had this horrible swirling rumors about arsonists and stuff like that. Usually when there's an arsonist come back to a fire scene to watch what he's done. We thought about that as we built this fire truck. We put cameras on all 4 sides. So as we're out on a fire scene, we'll be able to videotape all areas around us. If there is something suspicious, we can pull those kind of videos out. It has the ability of, just recently we had a lady hit us on Duck Lake Road as we were responding to an emergency run. The new fire truck has a camera on it, so as soon as you turn the turn signal on, it shows down the side, so if something's happening, you may be able to revert or avoid having any sort of an incident. As well as just other technologies that are built into it. We put a lot of time and effort, 9 months of research and visiting other departments, visiting other fire truck manufacturers. This is an amazing vehicle.
All right.
I just got a question on the funds that you quoted. Judy, maybe you can, answer this. The money should come from the fire capital account into the fire fund, correct?
We're moving it from the fund balance and operating into the fire capital fund, and then it'll be paid out of fire capital.
So we have money in fire capital
We
already.
do. We also have a fund balance in fire fund that, as a result of the audit, we wanted to move money up there.
So the intention is to pay it out of the fire fund,
Absolutely.
not fire capital.
Well, it'll ultimately be funneled through fire capital
Yes,
just
but
because
the
that's
money
where.
right now is in the
Yes,
fire fund, okay.
it is.
Okay. We have that much extra? $661,000?
All right, so, I guess what I'll do is
Question?
yes, sir.
Good question for the chief. How long before they deliver or when you pay?
They're estimating approximately 10 months, which is why you get the $30,000 rebate, because you're pre-funding it.
And
There will be performance bonds, which if you need any, have any questions on performance bonds, Todd will be able to explain that to you. Todd is our lieutenant, he's in charge of maintenance and fleet supervision.
One question, you quoted the exact amount, I think, is there any possibility that it could go over and it'll be stuff that agrees, add more to it?
This is just for the fire truck.
Yeah, no,
There's
I know
equipment
that.
that's gotta be purchased for the vehicle, but
Oh.
this will get us the truck that we are ordering. We may, as we go on, it won't come in any higher than this.
Okay, I just wanna make sure that if we approve that amount, and it's $10 more, we're in trouble.
I'll pay it out of pocket.
so when do you need the money?
Tomorrow.
Probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, just to give me an idea.
You don't need it tomorrow.
Good.
But I won't be calling tomorrow.
All right, what I'll do is I'll make the motion, pretty much we'll leave this right off the document and get a copy of it. This is, I move the board approve the budget amendment for the current operating budget year, transfer in the amount of $661,680.78 from account number 206-290-001-965-206 fire FD new vehicle account 402-000-000-657-000 and a contribution from fire funds for a capital expense to purchase an emergency vehicle from Halt Fire, bid number 1081.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Vote please.
This one,
Yes. Discussion.
well, I just wanna clarify, I'm thinking in terms of the budget, this money wasn't in the budget. So there's no money in this line item right now in our budget, so that's why I was kinda questioning those line numbers. I don't know if you need to say that it's being transferred from fire capital to this, or from fire capital to that line item and then the line item, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just thinking in terms of the audit, because this is the kind of stuff that they look at.
I wonder if we should be taking that fund balance.
Yes, see, that's my point, I think it should be transferred from fund
We've
balance,
totally been here before, and it's just like,
yeah.
Karen,
There's a
what
line
I'll
item.
ask you then is, go ahead.
There's a line item in the financial report that says transfer from fund balance.
right,
So that's really the one it should be using, not the one that you quoted, Rick, because that one doesn't have any money in it. So it either needs two budget amendments, one for transfer from the fund balance to that line item, or you can just transfer from the fund balance right to fire capital.
Now Karen and I
You
did
saying?
sit and discuss where it's gotta go from and to, and she did pull up on her little computer.
I know, but I know there's no money in that line item, so you have to either put the money in the line item to transfer
Yeah,
it.
there's only 114,000, well, that was last year.
So there's a what she says, there's a transfer that has to occur,
You
first.
have to take, it's a, you're right, Mary, it's two.
Yes,
So we have to go from,
We've been through this. Is this right? Is this
has to
right?
go from fund balance in the fire fund into
Okay, so
the
we're going to.
958 or 956 number.
So we're gonna move 661.
And then from the 956
Into 402.
capital, yes,
So we're
for
gonna,
capital.
first
so
one is
we're
we're
gonna
gonna move.
amend it to say that.
Okay,
Yes.
So let's get
and
the
I'll be good
amendments
with
right.
that.
Well, we'll
We'll
ferret
move-
that
Can you
out.
read that number, that account number?
Well, I wanna make sure it's right with Karen, because it might not be showing up on the financial statements.
Can we, well, do this without the account numbers? Can we just make a motion? to
Yes.
use from fund
Subject to
balance?
applying the correct account.
So your fire fund has a balance.
Yeah, for
Our fund
Step
balance.
one is you're gonna transfer this amount of money from your fire fund balance to that account, you know.
Yep.
Okay, and that number is,
We can do it without.
You can just say from
Fire
fire,
fund.
from the
From
fund
fire
balance.
fund balance.
if you go in the future, what's it gonna do?
That number, 206-290-001-965-206. And then the whole total from, and you, Judy, you said there was 114,000 in there already? Because usually we do put funds in
There
there.
was for last year to pay the fire trucks, but that's
And we
paid
didn't
off.
put it this year because it's paid off.
Paid
Okay,
off,
so then
yeah.
it's the whole amount, the whole 661. And fire fund balance to that 206-290-001-965.
Right.
And then the rest of it is to transfer that to fire capital.
Somebody check her numbers, please, I'm pretty impressed that she's rattling them off, I'm looking.
I'm looking.
She's
Oh, I know,
looking.
you're looking this way, though, you're good. Is there a cue card behind me? That's pretty good.
It comes with
I have a
age.
lot of years with
I
you.
know, that's my point, that's my point.
16 years of this stuff, so.
Yeah, she's rattling numbers off, and I'm going, okay.
I just know the headache later if you don't do it the
If
right
you
way.
Right,
don't.
we're calling you next
Right.
time, and I was even thinking about it, we should call Mary and find out what she says, because it's gonna come up.
So we're approving this.
You're amending your motion?
I'm amending my motion to reflect the, statement
right
that,
thing.
we're going to move $661,680.78 from the fire fund balance to account number 206-290-001-965-206.
Yes. And then that will total from that account to fire capital.
That too.
And then, so who supported that?
If
So
I did, I
you-
support it.
Judy did.
And you accept the amendment?
I do.
Alright, I'm ready to vote.
Ooh, last time I said
I'm
that.
ready to vote. Okay.
Alright, I'm voting yes.
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 Motion carries.
4 cartwheels. One.
That's something.
That's some beauty of being a rural
Skip it through the
community. We're not
We're gonna have a
perfect
party.
by any means.
And that's delivered with a big party,
Yes.
huh?
We're gonna push it back into the building.
Okay, next item is a discussion of material provided by attorney regarding conflict of interest. Amy, I'm gonna throw that in the court.
Okay, so after the last meeting, there was discussion about whether or not it was conflict of interest for Mr. Hamlin to vote on items related to the DDA. And I feel that's a serious charge, and I wanted to find out if that was in fact the case. So I solicited some material from the MTA, and I had Mr. Dovry review it and evaluate it to provide some information to us, so that we can decide if this is in fact a conflict of interest. And I'll just read, it was in the packet, I'll read a couple sections here. A conflict of interest is a personal and direct interest in the outcome of the vote. A conflict of interest is also present when a board member has a direct financial or pecuniary interest in the outcome. Number 3, a predisposition to vote for or against a certain entity could be considered a conflict of interest. And number 4, the board member cannot fairly act upon issues affecting the people as a whole and do what is best for the township and its population as a whole when he or she has a personal interest in the outcome. And then just also to note that except as otherwise provided in the law, a member of the township board who is recorded as present shall vote on all questions decided by the board unless excused by the unanimous consent of the other members present. And then I wanted to review that, see if Mr. Dover has any other additional thoughts on it, if we have questions on it. And then we can use this information to develop a conflict of interest policy that as we're reviewing our board policies and revising them, we can add that to there. Are there any questions on this or things that you want to hash out now?
This was initiated.
By me, just to get some more input on this issue. It's
Central.
right, it was brought up at the last meeting about whether or not, you know, I can see this kind of thing coming up in the future down the road, so I wanted to have this nailed down. I mean, we'll be voting on a lot of things, and we could potentially be voting on yea or nay on a sewer issue, which could affect up to half of the board. We could be putting ourselves in a situation where, you know, we're not left with a quorum if all of us who have the potential to be affected by a sewer system, we're all suddenly classified as, you know, unable to vote because of conflict of interest. One other statement in here that I thought was at the end, he said, if the impact of a board decision on an individual board member or board member's property would be the same as other similarly situated properties, that should not conclusively be determined to be a conflict of interest. So for instance, if we're voting on something that will affect a whole neighborhood, and I live in that neighborhood, just the fact that I live in a neighborhood or have property there, unless we're voting on something that relates specifically that will affect me, only me, you know, just me and maybe a few other, personally and financially, that's where we get into a legal level of conflict of interest, as I read it. Is that
Right. You know, as I said in my letter, you may consider adopting your own conflict of interest policy or rule. You do not have to. I think Tammy's point of bringing it up is if you went down that path, now everyone has a point of reference that's not based on something that comes up at a meeting. If you don't have a conflict of interest policy, you get into a situation where you get into a case by case. You know, I provided, you know, the Charter Township Act is weird, where it says that unless you're excused by the unanimous consent of everyone else, you have to vote if you're here. That's not a provision I've seen for any other city, township, village, county, or what have you. But that doesn't change the fact that a board member, if they have a conflict of interest, which is defined by case law that lawyers have to go find and search for, if they vote on something that they're not supposed to, you know, they're committing misconduct in office, and nobody wants to do that. So, I think the benefit of having a policy that you come up with and put together, not in response to any given situation or claim or decision that you're acting on, but rather as a policy from a general point of view, probably have some benefit to it. I didn't attempt that exhaustive research of here are all the possible conflicts of interest that any of you might ever find yourself faced with. I've always believed that the best rule of thumb is you sit there and you think, somebody might say that I've got a conflict. So I am going to disclose this set of facts, and I'm going to tell my fellow members if this is going to affect how I vote on this matter. And I don't have a level of comfort voting, I'm asking them to excuse me. I mean, I always think that's the best thing, even if there's no way in the world you think that if you ask the attorney, he's gonna say that's a conflict. I think it's always better to make the disclosure. But you don't have to adopt a policy. I think there are some positives in doing so. And I didn't come here prepared tonight to tell you what you should put in it.
Yeah, we weren't expecting that either. I would like to read something from your letter that relates to the DDA. This is the last page of the letter, the second last paragraph. It says, finally, with respect to the ownership of property in the DDA district, I, being Gary, would simply note that the township supervisor is required to be on the DDA as chief executive officer of the township, MCL 125.1651, paragraph G, and that a majority of the DDA members must be persons with an interest in property located in the DDA district, either as owners or in designated capacities for a legal entity with such an interest. While the DDA is obviously not the township board, the fact that the majority of DDA members must have an interest in property in the district supports the conclusion that such ownership by a township board member does not serve to automatically disqualify the board member from township board decisions regarding the DDA. And I will say in public that if I ever felt that I had a true conflict of interest, I would ask the board to recuse me, or allow me to recuse myself. So when I have voted, I voted because I felt with full conscience that I was being above board and honest about my ability to make a decision without influencing my pocketbook or anybody else's unduly. So I thank you for your response, and Tammy for bringing this forward. I would have dropped it myself, but I think it's smart. I want to remind some of the board members who were part of the previous board, that when we were attempting to do the board policy, the board had said that they would prefer to have the in-house officials take that board policy and take that project on. So Judy and Tammy and myself have decided, if it's all right with the board, that we will carry that forward, and this would be something that would be a component of board policy. So we wouldn't try it. We don't want to piecemeal this policy together. It's already piecemeal the way it is. And so it's going to be a project. We may ask for some assistance from trustees. It doesn't mean we need to keep it to ourselves, but I think it's a lot better to just get the ball rolling. We're in-house. We can help organize it. So if the board has any comment on that, I think that's direction that was given to us by the previous board, so two of us were executives at that time. So
I just wanted to say, I do appreciate Tammy bringing this up and getting this discussed, and so once and for all, we'll have.
And I like that it's now, and we're just kind of in, there's no question right now. So it's a good time to discuss it, and a good time to move forward with it, put it in place. So let's questions out later.
right, any other discussion? Okay, we discussed, and thanks again to me for that. Appreciate it. Thank you, Gary, for your excessive thoroughness, which you were notorious for.
Well,
in my humble opinion,
they indicated, I didn't necessarily agree with a few of those MTA opinions, but.
Well, at least the MTA, it is something we can say, the MTA, the Michigan Township Association, is an entity that we belong to, but at least they have some information that we could request to get the ball rolling. And not that we didn't want to talk to you about it, but it was easy.
Well, no, that was a very, that's why I recommended Tammy go that route. The MTA has a huge number of resource toolkits that they make available to their members, and it's always a good first stop.
And we
And
pay
you've
for
always
that,
seen
so.
that they say you should ask your own attorney before you do anything for sure, but.
All right, so we'll move on to the next item. Item we added, resolution number 17-10. Item L, Tammy.
So we just received this today, and they're hoping to get it back by the end of the month. That's why we did the last minute addition to the agenda. The state is mandating that every city, village, township is getting new election equipment this year. And a good portion of it is the funds are being provided through the state or grant. The whole purchase price of the equipment plus the first 5 years of maintenance is being covered. And we will be then responsible for maintenance in years 6 through 10 as they expect a 10-year life of this equipment. So we need to approve this resolution to participate in the grant. And it's not like we really have a choice. The state is mandating all of those things.
And there's gonna be Russian approved.
It comes with Russian installed, so bad choice.
That's a terrible joke.
I would move to approve resolution number 1710 to authorize him to submit a grant application to purchase a new voting system.
Support.
Who's in support of, vote please.
All right, Mr. Salvia?
Aye, yes.
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 Motion carries.
All right, next item, number 8, list of bills. Motion to approve.
I have a couple questions, if you don't mind.
Sure.
There's a lot of bills in here paid to Chris Kopecki for tree removal and path work at the parks, and, I mean, it's over like $10,000 total. Did any of that get put up for bid?
These are things that happen on a day-by-day basis. For instance, we get a call from an individual who's walking the pathway and a tree falls across the pathway. And in order to have that removed, we asked Chris if he could give us a price and take care of it. So these are all items that are one-offs, and they're not things that are put into a plan or where you could actually, most of them are stuff that needs to be taken care of immediately, not at a later date.
It's a lot of money without going out for bid, is my point on it.
I don't know how you're gonna get somebody to go out and take a walk.
How many different elements are you talking about? How many line items are there that are required individual use? And that's the question.
The other question I had was, why are we buying a generator for that sign?
Because the sign did not have a generator and I've been using mine.
It needed a generator and we didn't buy one of it?
Yeah. It wasn't part of the original pricing.
And what was the cost on it?
$449. My generator, same wattage, cost $1,000. We've been using it since the sign was installed, including my gas. So, and the sign is very well taken by a lot of people in the community. So, in answer to the question of Chris Kopecki, all of these items are items that are well within the bounds of my ability to make the decision on a day-to-day basis to manage the operations, and that's what those numbers are. We could hire somebody full-time, and they wouldn't do
My
what
point
we
is,
get out
there's a
of
lot
it.
of other people that I used to get inquiries from to do that kind of work too, and I just think it's more fair to put it out there and give other people chances rather than, you know, the same person doing all of it.
When you have somebody that does a great job and they give back to the community what she does on a regular basis with no charge for a lot of
Not
things.
the point.
He's,
Well, to support what we're saying, how many occurrences happened in the last month? I'm just trying to support what you're saying. If it was-
I'm gonna make the
If
comment that it's
it was
irrelevant.
15 occurrences, it's kind of silly to try to go out to hire somebody when the occurrence happens or get a quote for that. If there's 15 different occurrences happening, you gotta get it fixed. Sometimes you can't try to call 3 or 4 people, have them come out and move a tree or something. I think that's what you're saying.
I would hope that at some point, our board would, as a whole, would understand that I have a job that requires me to make day-to-day decisions. And these are day-to-day decisions, and they're done with the township in mind and costing. And, in every single case, if there's people out there that have other businesses that do these things, we make phone calls, can you do this, can you do it now? Chris is there, one of those that if you call, he's there now, and the thing is done. We have an in-house, person that is our maintenance person, and he won't go cut a tree down, in the park. He's not gonna do the stuff that, this individual does, and I think that, yeah, you may, somebody could look at it and go, look at all the times a person has been used. Well, I see staples over and over again. Why aren't we using some other company? It's the same difference. It's who you know does the work at the best level and the best price, consistently. And that's why you tend to follow or get credit with a company that you know is gonna perform for you. So that's my answer to that, and I don't mean to be derogatory in any sort of thing. So that's my job. I'm trying to do it to the best of our
I'm not, I was challenging that, I just wondered how many occurrences have been where it causes you not to be able to really go out and find hold them.
You don't quote things that are under.
I'm okay with that, that's what I'm
It
saying.
says you don't have to, that doesn't mean you don't, can't. We used to do that all the time, just to be able to say, we're giving fair prices, and we're giving anybody a chance.
Which means you gotta put it in the paper, you gotta pay $800 to advertise it.
These are.
I move to approve a list of bills 5/24/17 and 6/14/17 as presented.
Moved and supported?
Mrs. McGowan?
No.
Yes.
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 Okay.
Motion carries.
Public comment?
I'd just like to bring up a class that's being offered by Oakland County Homeland Security, Tuesday, July 11th, 2017, from 9 to 12. It's a public officials conference.
Is that the NEMA?
I'm sorry?
Is that the NEMA thing?
Yeah, emergency management. Just in case we do have an incident in town, it kind of gives you an idea or assists us on our community's roles and responsibilities as elected officials. They put it on every couple of years. This is a year for it. Highly recommend you guys coming out and sitting through the class. It's pretty eye-opening, pretty scary. When you look at the big picture.
Okay.
Thank you. My name is Rick, 1528 Middle Road. I wanted to just thank Tammy for bringing the conflict of interest issue up and doing some research on it. I appreciate it. It's not just myself, but others that have concern on this issue, for our board. Let's see, the other thing. But, I know what it was. I didn't look at the bills, but are we still paying $400 a month to somebody to operate the sign down there? I'd like to make a suggestion that we bring that in-house and have somebody do that in-house to save us some money. Because I went back and looked at the article in the Spinal Column back when this whole thing got rolling. I think it was around 2012, and after reading that article, it said you were going to find a way to pay for it. I know you found a way to pay for it, but it ended up back on the taxpayer again. So I thought maybe that'd be something that you could consider bringing in-house. And then my third thing is, I think it's great that Kopecky does all this work for us, but I just wonder if he is insured by us. What if he gets injured doing this work out there as an individual? Is he self-insured?
He carries insurance.
My only
Signed
comment
all
on
the whole
that.
time, this.
Okay.
So he's out there all this.
That was just a concern I had.
Okay. And I've got a comment, Lynn. Congratulations on your becoming president of your association.
Oh, the word is out, eh?
Hey,
Finally.
So,
I'm gonna be president of Kellogg Lake Board, so see you guys next
So they
week.
know what they're getting into.
Well, I've wanted it for a while, so.
well, anyways, seriously, I'm somewhat facetiously saying that because we have had conversations about if you really want to have something done, you need to go do something, and so you've done it and you got elected to the position. So I think that makes a statement that your people on your lake think that you could have a positive effect. otherwise, you just probably let somebody else do it.
It was a
So-
bit of a coup. I'll tell ya.
Just saying.
Yeah, just to tell you.
That's all right.
Pulled it off.
Well, good, you did that under 2 minutes, so thank you.
Okay.
Yes, James?
I actually do want to answer, how many trees does that person clean up for us?
How many?
Yeah, how often does he get
Oh,
called out?
it varies. I mean, this past month, we had some winds that were pretty significant. And if you ever take a trip over to Duck Lake Pines and also to Hickory Ridge, there's trees that reach the pathways.
Yeah, they're
And
beautiful.
one of the things that happened is we had our risk management individual come out, and Jennifer and myself and the risk management official went through the parks, and we identified all of the items that were of potential risk and what we need to take care of. And a good chunk of those are things that, clear this brush away from this path. Well, an example is, one of these is that we, over in Hickory Ridge Park, there's a picnic covered area that's right across from the refreshment stand and the bathrooms. There's a asphalt pathway that goes up to it. He wanted 2 foot beyond the asphalt pavement cleared. And he wanted a branch taken off of a tree that somebody could climb. So we called up Chris Kotak and said, what would it take to do that? And he would give a price of $150, $200, whatever it is. I would look at that and go, having been a person who'd been in business for myself and done many of these things, I don't know how we could get somebody else to do it for that. They're not people, the tree guys who have to fire their trucks up and stuff, they're not even gonna fire a truck up for $200. They can't make any money on it. So you have to look at these jobs as to where do you start to bring somebody in. So where do we do that? Another example is, we had, I called Michigan Property Network and said, we have multiple trees in Duck Lake Park that are dead, and one is fallen over, and we need to have those dead trees knocked down and this other tree cut up because somebody's gonna get hurt. He let me out there, he went out there, and I don't remember exactly what the bill was, it was just a couple $100, and he knocked down 6 different trees for us. So it's working with people in the community, which I do, and just to, make sure that the community's getting the best bang for their buck. If you look at Duck Lake Pines Park, it used to be completely closed off with sumac and all kinds of brush and stuff, so that when you pulled out, you couldn't see in either direction. Michigan Tree, whatever it is, property management, for $600, took his machine in there, cut down 6 major trees, and he ground all of that stuff up as a favor to the community. So it's working to make sure that we get a job that would have cost thousands of dollars if you just put it out for bid, to find those people that are willing to work with the community for the biggest bang for the buck. And we have some people in this community that do that. And so I do look at these situations and say, this is something that needs to go out to bid. This $2,500, I gotta follow the process. If I don't follow the process, I bring it to the board and say, can we vary from the process, which you see me do. So, yeah, you can look at repeats, but Home Depot's all over the place, why don't we go someplace else? It's the same kind of thing. So, enough said. But once again, Lynn, congratulations. We'll see you at the late board meeting, probably.
Next Thursday.
Okay.
Thank you.
On that note, no more comments? Meeting adjourned. Really sure. Yes.
Again, we don't get the truck to look right.
Gave my bench.
You did do that, everybody's found out that's the toughest.
Everybody wants to saw.
Oh, I was gonna say, how did you choose?
Okay.
Yeah, well.
Everybody's got a choice.